say, well, why would I have this? I'm so glad you had it. Because most countries do not use Fahrenheit. Most foreign countries use Celsius. So if you do ever plan on traveling abroad, high temperature is going to be 20. You probably need to know, is that hot? Is that cold? Like, what am I supposed to wear? Okay? So even Canada uses Celsius instead of Fahrenheit. So if I look at this, we're going to say, okay, if the high today, wherever we're going, is 3 degrees Celsius, and the low on the news was 13 degrees Celsius, we might want to know what that temperature would be. Okay? So well, I have a formula. I will just plug it into the formula, and I will figure out what this is for F. Okay? So let's start with the high. And we say, okay, the high today is 21 degrees Celsius. So I would plug in the 21 here, and I would have 21 equals 5/9 F minus 32. Okay? I've been teaching you guys how to get rid of this fraction. So our two options are to either distribute or multiply by the reciprocal. Which method? Probably reciprocal, because if we distribute, we're going to get two sets of fractions there. So I would probably go ahead and multiply by the reciprocal. All right, so that means my fraction's going to cancel out. I'm left over here with F minus 32 equals 9/5 times 21. And again, we're talking about degrees. So degrees, it makes sense to use decimal points. So that would be okay. And if I was doing this in real life, I would probably do that, right? And then I would say, okay, well now I need to get F by itself, so I need to add 32 to both sides. Which means that my Fahrenheit would be 69.8 degrees. And then we say, okay, well, we know what that means now. If it's 21 degrees, then that means it's really about 70 degrees for us. Okay? Now, was that quite a bit of work? Let's say that you were going to be there day after day after day. Okay? And you didn't want to have to figure this up. You wanted something easier because that was a ton of work. Then we would want to rewrite the equation so that F is by itself. Because then every day we could just plug it into our calculator and figure it out. Okay? So we would rewrite for F. So now let's do it because we're going to find the low this time. But let's rewrite our equation. Okay? So I'm going to start with my 5/9 F minus 32. So my first step would be to multiply by the reciprocal to bring it over here, which is what I did over there too. All right. So then that would give me 9/5 C, or I could write it 9C over 5 equals F minus 32. And then now I would add 32 to both sides. All right, so now I have 9C over 5 plus 32 equals Fahrenheit. So let's see if this goes a little bit quicker. Okay, so I did all the work. So now all I have to do is I could pull out my calculator or my smartphone or whatever I was using when I was on vacation, and I could say, okay, so I'm going to take whatever the Celsius is, which is 13. 13 times 9, that equals 117. I can divide it by 5. So divide by 5. That gives me this, and add 32. Oh, I messed up. What did I do? What did you get? Oh, 23.4 plus 32. And I get 55.4. Okay? Is it a lot easier if it's rewritten like this to calculate it versus doing all of this every day? My class with oh so much personality. Which way is easier? The second way, right? Does that make sense? That every day you could just put it in your calculator real quick and be done, and you would know what the temperature was supposed to be. Okay? Now, again, I was trying to come up with something that I thought you might get why. There's lots of other applications